Hello, my name is Peter Simard. This is the midterm project. So initially, this is the packaged output from Unreal Engine using version 5.6.1. The executable is here. You simply download it from the itch.io website and double click on the executable, at which point the program will initiate and run. This is the start menu. So the start menu has two buttons, start and quit, and a selection here of a character. Over here is the statistics with the health and the combat, agility, cunning, lore, defense, and any keywords that are included. If you try to press the start button with no character selected, nothing will happen. So you need to select a character. The characters are automatically populated, and they're going to be pulled and placed into the game instance for the transition to the game map. So you'll see here the various characters have different starting city locations. That is the actual city that the character will spawn in. So if I pick Dr. Zukov and he starts in Moscow and I click on start, the game will transition and you'll see he appears in the city of Moscow. So each of these cylinders is a city. Some of the cities are starting cities and have the locations, the spawn points for the various characters depending on what their starting city tag is. So you'll see that this is basically a third person perspective. You can tilt and rotate the camera angle. And the cities have the name above them, which will rotate and orient towards the camera. So if I were to move the character out from the city, and you'll see that as they approach to the various other cities, the cities' names are are not visible. But as you run closer to them, they will appear to be visible, and they'll get larger as you get closer. Over here are the individual zones outlined in black borders. The zones are actually constructed during the construction script for the game map, and they're simply a matter of an actor being placed in the center where or one of the corners, and then dragging the splines around until duplicating the splines for the individual actor until you make the complete zone, and then closing it off, at which point the zone will be inside the game map. Once you make a zone, you would simply go to the data table for and add a zone. Name the zone for the same name that the actor number is. So if this is BP underscore zone splice 9, I would go in the data table and make it zone underscore 9 and put the data, and you'll see that the information is pulled for the zone name and the zone movement. So the zone name is in black lettering, and the zone movement value is a blue number. So some of the zones, you'll see the zones are actually the zone names, and the values are varying differences, and that's later on in a future development where it's going to cost so many movement to enter the zones. The green dot is placed when the zone is created, and the green dot is the center of the zone splice from the construction script, and that is the reference that the name and the movement value and eventually the portals to access the challenge areas will be created. You'll see one of the portals in the distance in the center of Siberia. These are randomly generated from objective areas. Now, objective areas are tags that certain zones have. Now, only the zones that are on land have a tag for objective areas. The zones that are sea zones, for example, the North Pacific, the North Atlantic, and the North Sea, are classified as sea zones. So they will never spawn an objective area. So if I were to go to another city to get more of objective areas, to get another zone objective area spawn, all I simply have to do is enter a city. Once you enter a city, a new area or zone will be spawned. You'll see the random value. It's randomly generated from the objective areas. A new objective area has appeared in the Great White North in North America. And we're going to see if we can get some more areas too. So a new area just spawned in Scandinavia. And a new area just spawned in the British Isles. So that's basically how the scanning, the spawning, and the allocation for the objective areas. And you'll see that the statistics that were pulled for Dr. Zukov are loaded on the right hand side in the combat agility. This is just for the player's information and lets you know what character you're playing, Dr. Zukov. In the lower left, you have your defensive value, and you have a health bar and a progress bar for the damage. If you were to go anywhere and take damage, so the G button right now activates damage, so you'll see that the damage progress bar decreases. The number decreases above it to show you numerical value, and there's a blood splatter depending on how much health the player has left. So that's medium, that's heavy, that's a critical amount. So H is or G is the way to gain damage. H allows you to recover some damage. And again, it just refers to the beginning again. And if you were to take full damage, what would simply happen is you would respawn back in your starting city and your health would be recovered. And then you could start again. So that's basically, so this shows you just Dr. Zukov. We'll let him go through he goes back to Moscow. So if I were to go to the pause feature, which is the P button, I select pause, the new screen pops up, and it allows me to continue. If I click on continue, I simply return to where I was on the game map. So if I select pause, the damage stays the same, the character continues, and if I select pause and quit, I simply exit the game. So we'll start another instance of the game with a different character, just to show the functionality for the spawning point. So if I take Jenny Butler, her stats are 2 combat, 3 agility, 3 cunning, 3 lore, and 6 health on a hit start. She appears in Los Angeles. You see she has 2 combat, 3 agility, 3 cunning, and 3 lore. And the spawn point has been created because she started in a city. It has been created in the British Isles. So that is basically the functioning of the game map and the starting feature. Now, if we were to go and intersect with the yellow sphere, that will generate and transfer us to the challenge area. Currently, there are only the challenge areas have no functionality in the game. The challenge areas themselves are the variable for the number of challenge areas that could be that you'll go through is limited at 2 right now. So if I give myself a bit of damage and I go into the sphere, you'll see I load in the challenge area. Now there's 6 various challenge areas that will randomly load one of the 6. The challenge areas are simply basically the starting areas. I have to put a challenge manager in there just for to know what's going on. And the same feature, you can still take damage, and your damage carries over from zone to zone. This area here was supposed to be the spawn point, and if you were to leave it, you'll see it disappears. So to move to the next challenge area, you simply have to intersect or interact with this portal. So currently we're in challenge area number 2, and if we go into the portal, you'll see we've moved to challenge area number 4, which is basically the exact same, just for the functionality for prototyping. And if we go through we have 2 challenge areas we can go through, and then eventually you'll see the damage function works the same. If we interact with the portal, because 2 challenge areas are the most, it should take us to the artifact level where we need to go and reclaim the artifact. So this is there's only 1 artifact level right now. There will be more depending on what kind of artifact it is. So over here you'll see the artifact. The artifact is simply interact with the artifact and collect it. And then at which point, once it's collected, we're going to return to the game map from the portal point where we entered. So you'll see we were in the British Isles. We've returned back to the game map, to the British Isles. There are no spawn points, so we would have to basically return to a city, sell the artifact, and a new spawn point is generated. And you'll see this one is generated in the Siberia zone. So again, when we move forward, if we were to take damage, well, what I'll do is I'll enter the Siberia zone. You'll see I'm in challenge area number 3 now, and if I take damage, it should return me back to the game map to my starting city, and it does. I return back to Los Angeles. You'll see Siberia artifact zone is now gone because I no longer have access to it. I would have failed that challenge, but a new one, because I went to a city, a new zone is spawned in the British Isles. And then when I go through the British Isles, you'll see I'm in challenge area number 5, challenge area number 6, and artifact room number 1. So the concept for this for the game is to develop a certain amount of value from each artifact that you need to return to the cities. And you'll see a new zone spawn when I went to Mexico City. So you'll need to reclaim the artifacts by going through the challenge levels and return them to cities to get the value. And I can set the win condition to be however many artifacts are required. And I can also set the difficulty levels for the challenge areas depending on tags or keywords that I can add to the individual spawn points. So that's basically the midterm concept for the prototype. There's a lot more. The functionality is all now working. My mechanics, I'm happy with the mechanics at this point. The next part of the project I would work on would be developing the challenge zones to be different types of challenges in each room, so that the player going through the challenges would never have the repetition and the for what's going through. So again, we can simply hit P, quit the game, and thank you very much for your attention towards this the midterm project, and I will be adding more to it and developing more to it and making it more interactive. Thank you very much.